Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. I'm Cheryl Richardson. For those of you who may not know who I am, and I am looking forward to spending some time here with you. I'm going to wait a couple minutes for people to join. Uh, in the meantime, I would like to say to Facebook, this is probably not a good time to be changing how people do Facebook Lives, to be confusing the technology. Some of you, I don't know how many of you use Facebook Live, but I feel like every time I turn on the technology changes and I have to go through this whole process of learning how to use it again or figuring out how to make it work properly. So anyway, if you're here, and yes, I can see that some of you are joining. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Here we go. Hi, Andrew. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And hi, Carol and Terry. Thank you, Terry. Glad that you're here. Yeah, so things are reversed, and it took me a little while to. You used to be able to tell Facebook, no, I would like to do things the old fashioned way, which, I'm a big believer in learning something new. But I don't think this is a good time to be making things more complicated for people when they want to connect. And that's what today is about. It's about connecting with you and hearing how you are and how I might support you. The last couple of Facebook Lives I did have been about the basics of self-care, how to take good care of yourself during this time. This one I thought would be just a little more interactive in terms of seeing, reading about the kinds of challenges that you're faced with and how I might be able to support you right now. I'm happy to do that. So if you have a question or just something that's on your mind, go ahead and put it into the comments section, and I'll be sure to check them out. I'm glad I could see the comments. Hi, Sheila. Welcome. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're doing okay. And hi, Cindy. I'm glad you're here as well. And Erica and Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. I thought about you when I heard about the shootings up near Halifax. I'm so sorry about that. Anne, welcome to you. And hi, Monica and Helen and Lisa and Corey. I'm glad you're all here. So the pandemic continues, the sheltering in place continues, and this week I wrote a blog about how, just some of the things that I'm thinking about and paying attention to and noticing in terms of how I'm living my life, and also in talking with friends around the world, the kinds of things that they're reevaluating and thinking about and changes that they're considering making. And in some ways, this time is a blessing and a curse. The curse is, we're being told you must shelter in place and you must do X, Y, and Z in order to protect one another and yourself, which, is a loving thing for all of us to do. And challenging for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are alone and feel incredibly alone, and people who are really frightened economically. We've all been affected by certainly the economic implications of this. So I wrote a blog this week about just, what I'm about myself, my life, my business during this time of sheltering in place, and the fact that there's a certain amount of this that feels like a call to protect one's soul from a fractured life, which is the blessing part of this, right? When we're suddenly forced to stay home, it's sort of like if I had you in front of me. Sorry, my birds are a little noisy this morning. Keep it down, guys. If I suddenly had you all in a room and I told you had to close your eyes and meditate for the next hour, and you had no choice, you couldn't leave, you had to just stay and meditate. Some of you would be really grumpy, some of you would be really thrilled, some of you would be frightened, feel anxious about that, feel trapped by it. But if we stayed there long enough, you'd have no choice but to surrender to what's going on in some capacity, and sometimes multiple times during the process. And then you would begin to meet yourself in a different way. Now, I don't know if that's a great analogy or not, but you see what I'm saying? Because we've all been told that we need to stay home and we need to shelter in place, it's really forcing us to reevaluate everything. How am I spending my time? How am I spending my money? How am I spending my energy? Who am I spending that time, money, and energy on? Is it worth it? Uh, and the longer this goes on, the greater the chances are that we're thinking more deeply about our lives. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, a lot of us need to do that. And, my biggest concern, as I wrote about in this week's blog, is that as we start to open up the world, essentially, that the big mantra is going to be get out there, spend money, consume, because that's what makes, that's what increases, that's what makes the economy run. And the challenge with that is that it's also what's gotten a lot of people into trouble, and has also, right now, made a lot of people sit around in their homes by themselves with a lot of debt, terrified about how they're going to survive this. So, not to mention the fact that when we're always consuming things that take our time or our energy or our money, we never have a chance to stop and appreciate where we are. And in some ways, I know that I'm doing that now. I have a good friend of mine who read the blog that I wrote this week, and she's always such a beautiful supporter of my work. And she called me up and she said, I read your blog and it was just really lovely and important things to think about. And then I hit delete because I am so over this and I don't want to think about what's good about this. I just want to be done with this and get back out into the world. And I really, first of all, I always appreciate her honesty. And I think, true, a lot of us feel that way. I know that there are times I feel that way. Like, okay, enough already. I want to be able to go into my local health food store, or I want to be able to visit with friends, or to visit my mom or my in-laws without having to social distance, or really wait for a warm enough day that I can sit outside. So we're all, as unique and individual, all are, our reactions to this time are as unique and varied. And each of us throughout the day are going to have unique and varied responses to this. So I just, I want to be, I respect that and I appreciate that. And I think it's so important that we understand that with others. I've written plenty of blogs about emotional regression, what happens when people get frightened and how they get their buttons pushed and suddenly they're 5 years old in an adult body, but acting like a 5-year-old. Some of you might be living with someone doing that. I know I've done it, and Michael's done it, and we've worked our way through it and laughed about it. And anyway, it's a challenging time. And I'm wondering what you're learning about yourself and about your life. What do you need that you didn't realize was so important to you? And what don't you need that you thought was so important before this, and now it's actually not that important? These are things to think about. What did you used to spend your money on that maybe looks now like it was a waste? And how might you want to change that moving forward? How did you feel about your financial health before this? And I know that for me, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I grew up with a father who taught me about money and numbers at a very young age. And after my late 20s, and racking up a lot of debt as a young woman, I decided I didn't want to live like that anymore. I had my own wake-up call back when I was 26 or 27. But a lot of people are recognizing that their lack of emergency fund, or the amount of debt that they have, is really creating a far more stressful experience. I mean, this is going to be stressful for anybody anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your financial situation is. Too many people have lost their jobs, many of which won't be able to go back to their jobs. I mean, it's a big deal. But it's also time. I know that I'm reading more about money. Suzie Orman just came out with a great book about retirement, saving for retirement, or planning your retirement. I apologize, I don't have the title. Terry, if you could look that up, we'll include that in the resources here. And I've been reading that really, because I'm 60 years old, and I've just been looking at how do I need to plan for my life going forward in a way that's very different than when I was 40 or 50 years old. So this could be a time where you get educated about your finances. And it's also an important time to get some really good guidance about what bills to pay and what bills not to pay, so that you protect yourself as we go through this transition. Anyway, it's so important that we pay attention to, I was with a friend of mine this weekend, and she and I were both talking about fractured time, which is where I came up with that phrase in the blog that I wrote this week, that uh, so much of my time is fractured by little things that just sort of chip away at the day. Do you know what I mean? The text message you have to respond to, the email you need to respond to, the door that you need to answer, or the phone call that you make, or the bill you need to pay, or the meal you need to cook. I mean, all of these things take our time and energy. It reminds me of Maya Angelou said many, many years ago. I remember her talking about something about how when we are around critical people, it's like they take little bites out of us, like little ducks taking bites out of us, and eventually there's nothing left. Well, I'm realizing that that's so true with our time, that all of the things we have to do, all of the day-to-day responsibilities just keep chipping away at this very precious asset that we have, which is time. And you know, it's a limited commodity. Let's put it that way. We never know exactly how much we're going to have, which is quite a cosmic joke if you think about it. Um, and I have been also thinking about a lot of existential things as well. So anyway, I'm curious as to what you're learning about yourself, what you're learning about your loved ones if you're sheltered in place with loved ones, what you're learning about yourself if you're home alone. We need connection and community. And those of you, if you are home alone and you're feeling lonely and hungry for connection, I hope that you'll say so in the comments section, because we have a wonderful, really loving, supportive community here. And there are people here who would absolutely be in touch with you. If you want to even post your email address, there are people here who will often go through and connect with people afterwards. So please do that if you're feeling lonely and you feel like you really could use some kind of ongoing dialogue, either on the phone or via email. That'd be great. I'm going to go back and see. Here's a good new thing about Facebook, letting me scroll back. I appreciate. Let's see. Bear with me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see. Kathy says one of the things she's learning is that she's asking for a lot more help in her life, which is can be an incredibly powerful lesson for people right now, asking for help. Anne says her question is, how do we personally decide when it's safe to start mingling again? I miss seeing my friends, but I don't necessarily trust the government to know when it's safe. I believe they are more concerned about the economy. I think it's a good question. And I think that what's really important is that you pay attention to your local news. Like I'm in Massachusetts. We have a place that we can go to in our local news that will tell us exactly what's going on and what people are recommending. So I don't think when it comes to when is it safe to go out into the world, you have to get self-educated. You want to pay attention to what's happening with testing. Of course, the big thing I tell people is your level of health is your greatest defense against a virus. There's plenty of viruses in the world. So taking good care of yourself, getting as much sleep as you can, drinking lots of water, strengthening your immune system. I take vitamin D, vitamin D3, a probiotic, the things that just support my immune system, losing excess weight if you've got excess weight, exercising every day, moving your body. These are your greatest defense against any illness. And what's important to remember about that is that's what you actually have control over your life, number one. And then number two, I think it's really important that you pay attention to the news that is related to your particular area, because this is really how things are going to start opening up. They're going to start opening up, state by state, probably town by town. Each little community is going to have their own way of doing that, depending on what the numbers are. I know that the numbers where I am are pretty low right now. It doesn't mean I'm going to run out, and there's no place to run to, where I could mingle really. But I'm going to just pay attention, and I'm going to be cautious. And I think it's important to be cautious. That said, I'm not worried. I mean, first of all, if I got the virus, I think there's a very good chance that I would be okay. It would suck. I wouldn't like it. I've had the flu before, but I'd be okay. And knowing that I'm taking good care of my body and doing the things I need to do to keep my immune system strong makes me feel safer. But I'm not going to just throw caution to the wind and run out and start mingling with a whole bunch of people. I just don't think that that would be good self-care, right? So we want to be focused on good self-care. Let's see. Yeah, Jude says, I love not being so attached to my cell phone. I do as well. I've been leaving it in another room. And enjoy, or putting it on airplane and just not even doing with it, and it feels really terrific. I don't like being so attached to electronics. The one downside for me during this time is I'm Zooming with friends, with people that I want to, see and connect with. That's been wonderful. I just don't want to do too much of that because I'm not on my computer all the time. And this is sort of causing me to be on my computer more than I used to be before. And I don't particularly care for that. So I totally get what you're saying about the phone, though. It says, I so agree with what you say about the situation in your blog this week, especially the sadness you might feel when things go back. Yeah, several people I've spoken to this week, even people that are really struggling with this, have said there is a way in which I feel sad at the thought of going back. I don't want to go back to how life was. And there is a certain amount of comfort and peace that I'm experiencing in being at home, even though I'm struggling with kids, trying to teach kids while working full time from home, or getting along with my, grown kids or my other family members. There's a lot of challenges. And even so, people are saying, I don't want to go back to how it was. I know I don't either. It's up to each of us individually to do something about that, to make very conscious decisions about how we will re-enter our lives and the kinds of changes we'll make to honor the things that we're learning about ourselves and our families right now. That's why honestly, I write my blogs every week to remind myself so I can go back and read what I'm writing because I don't want to forget. As a matter of fact, my friend Jody was telling me that she has her children writing letters to their future selves about this period and about what's happened and, what their experience was like and what they're learning. And I actually think that's a great idea for all of us to do, even as adults, is write a letter to your future self and talk about what you're learning right now that you want to remember. The changes you maybe want to make, the things you don't want to do anymore, the things you want to do more of. Get it in writing because we will forget. Without a doubt, we will forget. So let's see. Now it's not letting me go back as much as I want to. So please, if you've posted a question, could you do me a favor and just copy and paste it back into the comment section? You always want to copy your questions or comments anyways, because unfortunately, it's let me go back. Patricia says, I'm at an age where I need to be planning for my final years. I've been putting it off, but I'm doing it now, even though I don't want to. I'm finally doing what's necessary. It's a positive step, and not having time is not an excuse anymore. Patricia, you're not alone either. Several people have told me that they've finally gotten their wills in place. And I promise you, when that's done, there will be a sense of relief. It is a scary thing. Preparing your will or doing any kind of estate planning does not mean you're inviting death, but it can feel that way. It's a real gift to the people who are left behind. And not only that, it's a profound act of self-care in that it allows you to feel safer and more comfortable about what would happen to this precious thing called your home, your belongings, your pets, maybe other family members, your children. All of those things, the thing that really motivated me, Patricia, to do estate planning on a consistent basis, every year I review it, Michael and I review it with our attorney, was the first time we met with our attorney. He said to us, we sat down and said, okay, we're going to start estate planning. And the way he opened it is, okay, you've both died. Who do you want to have a key to your home, who is going to walk in, enter your life, and begin going through everything? And that was a big wake-up call. we both are, Michael and I are both writers. We have a lot of writing here, for example, a lot of personal writing. I have boxes of journals. We have a home that we built together that feels very personal, and it was a wake-up call, and it inspired us to sit down and think very carefully about who do we want to have a key to the home, who do we want coming in, who can we trust to do with our private things, the things that we've actually put in writing we'd like to have done. So Patricia, is as uncomfortable as it was, because we had to really look at what would happen if I died first, what would happen if Michael died first. Afterwards, what was so relieving, knowing, okay, everything's going to be handled in just the exact way that we want it handled. And listen, when you reach a certain stage in your life, Joseph Campbell says in The Power of Myth, at the second half of life, we need to begin to identify more with consciousness than the body, because the body is slowly breaking down and eventually will die. That's reality. Now, I don't believe that when the body dies, our consciousness dies and that's the end. I believe our consciousness lives on. And the more we confront our own demise, the more we confront death, the more we confront the reality that there's some planning that needs to be done. And the more we build a relationship with our inner lives and consciousness, the less frightening death feels. It's when we keep avoiding, it's like everything else. I say this all the time on these Facebook Lives. Everything you push down just has more power in your life. If you're feeling sad right now and you keep trying to push it down, you eat, you drink, you watch TV, you just ignore it, it just gets stronger. If you're anxious, same thing, push it down, keep pushing it down, keep trying to, avoid it, it just gets stronger. It has more power. If you're afraid of death, don't want to go near the will, estate planning, don't want to talk about it. I don't know. I'm not going to think about whether or not I want to be buried or cremated. The more you resist facing these kinds of difficult conversations, the more power they have. And eventually, like we're experiencing right now on a global scale, eventually that beach ball you've been holding underwater pops up and you got to deal with it. And at that time, it's not always the most pleasurable experience. So congratulations, Patricia. It's maybe it is a positive step. Maybe it's a profound act of extreme self-care to be getting your affairs in order. When they're done, you can breathe and then just get about building an even stronger relationship with your own inner life. That's where peace exists, by the way. Tonya has put her email in. Thank you, Tanya, and says if anyone wants to reach out, I hope that somebody will. It's right here and reach to her. That would be great. Let's see. Deborah's saying energized, awesome. And yeah, Melissa says self-care is so hard right now. Melissa, I wonder what you mean by that. I wonder what's hard for you right now. It would be interesting for you to just maybe post a couple lines in the comments so that I can read it. I'm going to just make a note of your name in case you do, because it's going to go by. Melissa Abbott. I'd like to know what's hard. I would encourage you to check out the 2 Facebook Lives I did before this. So just look for it under videos, because in both of those videos, I talk about self-care during this time. And hopefully there'll be some advice in there that could be very helpful to you. Let's see. Lori says, my daughter is a college freshman and is home. It's just 2 of us here. She's missing college and struggling most days, feeling like she'll never see college or her friends again. I don't know how to help her. Any ideas? Yes, Lori. So many parents are dealing with this, right? Some parents say, my kids are fine with this. Other parents are like, my kids are really struggling, or I'm really struggling because I wanted my child to have a graduation, or I want my child to have a full college experience. Here's my best piece of advice, Lori, for supporting your college-age children as they go through this time when, they feel disappointed. Just listen. Use these words, this little phrase, tell me more. Don't worry about fixing it. Don't worry about giving advice, which is, especially if you're sort of a natural caregiver, the inclination is to want to do that, to want to to want to give advice or feedback or to fix things. College age kids are getting a PhD in dealing with disappointment and frustration and the unknown and uncertainty. These are really important life lessons that many of us never consciously got, never intentionally got, to get it through the hard knocks of life, right? So just listening to your daughter and encouraging her to speak about how she feels and just reminding her, I would say this, reminding her, your feelings are valid and important and deserve a place at the table. And they'll pass like a storm, like a weather pattern. That storm will pass. And by the way, those storms pass a little more quickly when you give yourself the space to express how you feel, when you share your feelings. Now, what interrupts people, what interrupts somebody in sort of emotional feeling process is people interrupting the process of them feeling with advice and fixing, just words. Stop talking and listen. Tell me more about how you feel. Could you say more about that? Tell me more about that. And be willing to let there be space and silence in between those phrases. We all need to get more comfortable being with silence, and a lot of us are getting a PhD in that right now. It's one of the loving things we do when we want to be there for other people. And I see it even in the retreats that I teach. A lot of times somebody will have this awakening, this difficult. They'll get in touch with a difficult emotion and they'll start to cry, and everybody around them wants to put their hands on them or touch them. And I always say, stop, leave them alone. Don't touch them. Don't hug them. Let them have their process and just be present. And if you're having a hard time being present, that's more about you and your feelings, your discomfort with being with your uncomfortable feelings, and you may need to get some support as well. You may need to, talk to a friend or a spouse or a partner or something so that you're able to air your feelings about the situation, because I'm sure you have your own, Lori, given the fact that she's your daughter, and the both of you, this is college graduation is a threshold experience for both parents and children, and adult children, so you may need to get some support as well. Okay, so as I said, able to go back too far, unfortunately. So if you posted something, David, I saw that you posted something, then it went right back. Yes, Susan Dowdy. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you're here. Susan is a really wise medical expert who says contact your state or country CDC for local advice about opening up. Yep, there you have it. The wise one, the all-knowing one, that's the thing you want to do in terms of moving backward into life. Mohammed says, what would Louise do? I miss her so much. I know. I think of her too, Mohammed, and I miss her as well. And Louise would be sheltering in place, and she would be saying, darling, out of this situation, all is well. Out of this situation, only good will come. We are safe. And she'd be saying that over and over again, no doubt. Let's see. Hey, Johnny Neal. So glad to see you here. Hi. Boy, I keep seeing, I can answer them and then boom, they pop right by me. I hate that. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down. Monica says, my first wants to turn everything into work, making masks, checking in with people, moving classes online, helping students who are in bad shape. My habits are to work. That's an insight, but it's hard not to turn to self-care, and it's hard to not turn self-care into another job. Yes. Monica, go out, stop moving, stop talking, just be with yourself. Go out for a walk by yourself, meditate, write in your own journal, turn all that energy inward. Don't miss this opportunity right now. It's wonderful to be there for other people, just limits on that. Carol says, how can I help my nephew who's in empath and working at a gas station and the emotions are running high? Once again, just as I said, sorry, Carol, just inviting him to talk to you and to listen. There may be some lessons that he's getting there that none of us will be aware of, but he will. There may be some real benefits. Tell him to keep looking for the opportunities for growth, and teach him about breathing, so that when emotions get high, when emotions start running, which they do, breathing is always a very good thing. But listening is the most important thing we can do. Let's see. Yeah, thanks. Um, uh, Julie says, Cheryl, I don't want to go back to the way things were either. This has been a self-care wake-up call. I have a new schedule of setting boundaries around work, getting out in nature with my family, practicing yoga. When we support farms, we create a garden and purchase from online stores like Thrive. We don't need to be running to a grocery store on the daily. Yes, that's true. I've learned that as well. So it's great that remember all these things, write them down so you don't forget. Let's see, what else do we have here? Josh says, I'm being really mindful of where my thoughts go. I take a nature walk, just notice how much goes to the future, fears. Then I pull myself back into the present. This is such a powerful practice, Josh. This is the gift of meditation. It teaches us to pull ourselves right back into the present moment, to put the soul in charge, not the mind. The mind is the servant of the soul. And the mind will just like a child, it'll just run around doing whatever it wants to do, taking you all different places. And it's like an open-eyed meditation to notice, oh, my thoughts are going to the future. I do this a lot, Josh. I say, no, come back here, sweetheart. Come back. No. Stay here with me in this moment. I talk to my mind. I'm the boss. You're the servant. Pay attention. Come here. We're not going into the future. There's no reason to do that right now. Come back to the present moment. It's a beautiful practice. Good for you. Let's see. Yeah, Melissa says, I do hospice work and unfortunately have a very difficult leadership team. I'm so sorry about that. Struggling to do right by my patients and families, and my empathy being a weakness that sent me into spiral this weekend. Yeah, Melissa, those of us who are very sensitive and empathic really need to take extra care of ourselves. It is going to mean not being there for some people sometimes. It is going to mean not, being conscious of the urge to reach out and share with somebody and to just say, no, I need to take care of myself. Someone said to me early on in this process, you better make a relationship with guilt. You better get comfortable feeling guilty, because that will be a requirement. You will need to be able to sit with guilt during this time so that you're able to practice really good self-care. Everybody has their own spiritual path. I don't know what yours is, Melissa. You don't know what mine is. We can only do our best. We show up, and when we show up having practiced good self-care, we show up better. And some souls are deciding to leave during this time, for example. Some souls are deciding to be born. We all are learning and growing in unique and individual ways, and we can't control each other's growth. We just can't. So this is also a time of learning to surrender and to make the care of your own soul a priority, because it really is the greatest gift we give to other people. It sounds so ridiculously cliche at this point, but it's true. And it's true. Sherry says she's learned how very little material trapping she really needs to live a beautiful life. What I need most of all is vibrant health, love, and precious time to spend with loved ones and my puppy. Also, I plan to weed out what doesn't serve me longer and doesn't support me in a positive way. There you have it. I mean, that's like a beautiful wrap up, Sherry, to what I'm saying, that we don't need anywhere near as much as we think we do to live a beautiful life. The simple things: a really good cup of tea, sweet smelling hand lotion, a bird with birds, a walk with loved ones, a good conversation, yummy food. I mean, there's just not a lot. A lot of time we end up engaging, we end up buying things or doing things to make up for the presence that is missing from our lives that allows us to appreciate what's around us. And hopefully that will shift for sure. Hey, Scott, welcome. I'm glad you're here from West Texas. I hear you guys are starting to open up there. Um, Oh, Miriam, I'm so sorry. Her husband died a week ago, and I'm so thankful for phones and devices to reach out to people. I'm happy when I get texts. Yeah, I'm very sorry for your loss, especially during this time. And I'm so glad that this is where technology is a blessing because it does keep us connected at those times that we really, really need to be connected. So let's all just take a moment and just beam Miriam a whole bunch of love. Just imagine just a beam of loving energy going to this beautiful woman, Miriam Beam. Oh, goodness. Your last name is Beam. How crazy is that? I may have seen that subconsciously, didn't realize it, but yeah, let's send a whole bunch of love, huh? I'm doing that. Um, okay, yes. Daniela, question on the right emotional distance to others when they are too close and talking to me about their problems all the time. I'm a very good listener. There's your first mistake. I'm kidding. I feel them too close and I have no space for myself. When they are very distant, not actively looking for me, then I feel I'm not important, just optional. Well, Daniela, look at that. You just really, you've done a beautiful job of spelling out the challenge there, haven't you? Um, the more you build a relationship with yourself and your inner life, the less attached you'll be to what happens outside of you. So, what you're recognizing is that you're giving in order to get something, and that is a sense of feeling important, a need to feel important. We all have needs. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not personal, just they're needs. And we need to get those needs met. And when we get those needs met consciously, then we stop getting them met unconsciously, for example, by overdoing or overgiving or being there for people all the time. The more you do that to your detriment, the more you're not making yourself important. Therefore, you will need to feel important through others, through the contact of others. It's a vicious cycle, Daniela. So you need to sit with the discomfort of nobody contacting you when they don't need you and ask yourself, what do I need? In my book, Stand Up for Your Life, I tell the story about a time in my life where I realized I was so adept at knowing what other people need, completely tuned out about what I needed for myself. And I hung up a big piece of poster paper on a wall in my little apartment. And every time I walked by, I asked myself, what do you need right now? And I would write in a magic marker on that big sheet of paper, I need a cup of tea. I need to go to the bathroom. I need a nap. I need to get some work done. I need, some peace and quiet, whatever it might be. And over time, I began to develop a very good relationship with my own needs and started to fulfill them, which meant then I didn't need to engage in activities that ultimately hurt me in order to get that need to feel important met outside of me. So I hope that's helpful. Hi, Jason. Welcome. This is my first time to become part of Facebook Live ever. Wow. Congratulations. It's nice to see a familiar figure. This just came up in my Facebook news feed. I decided to try it. Now I know what it feels like to be part of an online community like this. Awesome. Isn't it great? I'm not a very tech savvy person and I've never experienced Facebook Live. I'm just assuming that this is what they call Facebook Live. Yes, it is. Welcome. Congratulations. And this is a milestone for you, first Facebook Live. And I'm so grateful that it happened to be mine. Let's see what else we have here before we wrap for today. Patricia says, all of this time of staying home, it's been confirmed that I had confirmed what I had been questioning. Did I make a mistake buying home with my boyfriend? I've been feeling it for a long time, and now I know for sure, biggest mistake of my life. How wonderful that you know that, Patricia. This is what I mean about truth being revealed during this time to all of us. Now, it's not an easy truth. I can really appreciate that. But now you know that it's time to make some changes and you've got a direction to head in. So there you have it, right? Okay, I'm gonna wrap up. I was just looking to see you all here, and thank you for your yeah, Andrew says, I'm learning that my freedom is very important to me. I want to be in charge of my own schedule. Just over a month ago, I commented on one of your live videos about keeping my consulting job while building my business. And I'm still working the consulting job. Thank you for the advice. You're welcome. But being accessible 24/7 has its challenges. No consulting job should have anybody accessible 24/7. That's not a job. That's called entrapment. No, I don't know. That's called like being a slave to a job. Not good. I'm learning to set boundaries on my time and availability. Can you speak to that at all? Yes, do it. Great idea. Here's what I learned back when I started a coaching practice. I didn't work nights anymore, but I was afraid I would lose clients if I was only available during the day. My coach said to me, well, you're going to have to test the theory that your self-care is important and that the universe wants to support that. But you'll no longer be available at night, and let's see what happens. And 95% of the clients I set that boundary with, Andrew, stayed with me. And the ones that didn't were clearly supposed to go somewhere else. So I would, little by little, certainly depending on what you can financially afford to do, begin to put some boundaries in place. And you'll find that means like not answering the phone, not responding to email right away or text right away. And you'll probably find, as a lot of people do, that people begin to work their needs into the time frame when you're available to fulfill them. Give that a shot. All right. Okay. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you all for being here. Hang in there. It's coming to an end. We will get through this, but stay awake. This has been a giant wake-up call, a huge cosmic rug pulling for everyone. And the repercussions are going to kind of continue rolling for quite some time. There'll be lots of opportunities to reevaluate your life and everything in it. People, places, things, decisions, all of it. And the more awake you are and conscious and willing to look very honestly at your life, the more the benefit this time. And that's what I want for you most of all. All right. Thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. In the meantime, take really, really, really good care of yourselves. Lots of love. Bye.